Coming up on today's show, the Crescent pub has made it onto Save Britain's heritage list of buildings at risk.
A Liberal Democrat campaigner has set to a petition to clean up the Salford Quays.
John Lewis have released their latest Christmas advent calendar.
I enjoyed the whole process, but I think the most exciting point was the end, when I could see how it all merges together, like how it all comes together. Like.
Hello and welcome to Quays News. I'm Libby Lindley.
And I'm Alice Peoples. Our top story today.
46 buildings in Greater Manchester have made it onto Save Britain's Heritage at Risk Register. To be included on the list, all buildings must have an essential quality of decay.
One of those buildings include legendary Salford boozer. Isaac Shelton has more.
The aptly named Crescent pub in Salford Crescent closed its doors for the final time in 2017. 3 years on, and any signs of an operating pub are long gone. It was bought by Chinese investors a year before it closed, with supposed plans to turn it into student accommodation or a cultural centre.
I just think that they've probably always seen it as a prime site, and this is my own personal view, is possibly they have run it down to close it, and possibly hoping that they could demolish and build.
The threat of the pub no longer existing altogether risks wiping out Salford's own culture.
The Grade 2 listed pub at one point was even thought to have been a meeting place for these two chaps, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels.
Well, it's known worldwide. I've been in Austria or I've been in France. And, the Crescent, Marx and Engels.
The state of the building means it now sits on Save Britain's Heritage Buildings at Risk Register.
I know that council officers have tried to engage with the owners, but no joy. They're just not engaging at all to look at what the future of the pub is.
The Crescent dates back to the 1860s, when it was named the Red Dragon, but our hopes of it becoming a pub once more shattered.
Do you ever think it will be a pub again? Are you hopeful, or?
I'm always hopeful. I'm an optimist. And when it closed, it was heartbreaking, really. Just as a, not even just as a councillor, but as a Salfordian, because of the history of the pub. It's something that should be saved.
A Liberal Democrat campaigner has recently started a petition to clean up the Salford Quays.
I went to find out more. As the population of Salford Quays grows, so does the amount of unpleasant items in the water. The man is determined to change that. Alex Warren started a petition demanding that Salford Council clean up the Salford Quays.
So, clean up the quays. I wanted to start that in the first place because I'm quite into nature and I like to go and look at the wildlife there. There's a lot of coots, moorhens, herons, seabirds there as well on this natural silt delta that's formed up. And there was just bin bags floating in it and rubbish and plastic bottles, and wildlife was quite openly competing with that quite high level of pollution. I mean, the council do already send teams every now and again, and I say every now and again, I don't know if there's a structure, but it seems quite sporadic, and for long periods there are basically big flows of flotsam and jetsam and waste that build up. A community petition does have a lot of impact, so if we get lots of residents, thousands of people saying we want this, then that has huge sway over what people in the town hall will think, the city hall will think in Swinton, in Salford.
A member of Salford Residents Committee, Jonathan Moore, shared his thoughts on the topic.
Part of my duties as chair, I deal with a whole range of different issues. So yes, there are quite a few issues. Well, he's from a particular political party, and each political party will have its own way of campaigning as part of that. And clearly the Lib Dems have decided that they want to go down that particular route. We ran a survey of our membership to get feedback as to what they thought the key things were. We ran that very recently. It was only October that we did it, and it became very clear from that our membership sees litter as being one of its top priorities. and it came across very clearly that there are a lot of people on the Quays who feel that litter is an issue.
But what do the public think about this? Do you think that the Salford Quays has a waste problem?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
That's a dog dirt problem, I think.
No, really. I could just see just around like the bays, the small bays, I could see a little bit of litter. But as a whole, you know, it looks quite clean.
Do you know that there is a petition going on to try and clean up the Salford Quays?
No. No, really, no, I haven't heard of it. Is there like a way of like giving awareness to the public?
And anyone that's seen throwing stuff into the water should be done.
We'll have to wait and see if Alex's petition is successful turning the tide on Salford's rubbish. Alice Peoples, Quays News.
So Alice, do you think that the litter rates will increase now that we're out of a national lockdown?
It's entirely possible that litter rates will increase, but of course there are still tight restrictions in Greater Manchester. And our reporter, Oliver Yald, is here to tell us more. So Ollie, what about the new restrictions?
Well, Alice, the new restrictions are in place officially as of today. Greater Manchester has been placed in the highest Tier 3 restrictions, which mean that all non-essential shops can reopen. However, the hospitality sector, such as bars, pubs and restaurants, must stay closed unless you are doing takeaway, so no eating in for you. Now, this has caused somewhat of a fiery debate across the country as some London boroughs and places in the south with higher infection rates than Greater Manchester have been placed in the lower Tier 2 restrictions. For example, the London borough of Barking and Dagenham has an infection rate of 244 active coronavirus cases, compared to Salford's 214 and our very own Trafford's 156. And this opens up a wide debate about very small number of shops that are taking advantage of new legislation that is allowing non-essential shops, such as clothes shops, to open for 24 hours per day in an effort to kickstart the economy again after this, like I say, dismal week in the sector. And Greater Manchester's own Primark store in Trafford Park, one of its many, but this one at Trafford Park, is opening for the next 24 hours. And it is hoped that this will avoid a fate similar to its nearby neighbour Debenhams. Now, the hospitality sector is having to make a lot of adjustments in terms of the way that it is accommodating these new rules and having to put new measures in place that it never thought it would really have to do by this point, when we promised that it would be over by Christmas. Now, to tell us more about this, here is a special report who is by Jake Penkerthman, who is live in amongst the glitter at Salford Quays. Hi, Jake.
Yes, Ollie, I am here at the quayside at Media City. Now, as you said, it is coming up to the new Tier 3 restrictions for Greater Manchester's residents, with today being the last day of lockdown. Now, many of these bars and restaurants, such as the Café Rouge behind me, were originally hoping that they could get back to normal trading times. However, with Tier 3 being imposed, it is looking likely that that is not going to happen. So essentially for them, there is going to be no change. Now, all bars and restaurants do have to remain shut, like you said, with it being open only for takeaway and click and collect services. One brewery which has had to adapt to time during lockdown is the Shindigger Brewery Company. Now, they have had to be doing deliveries of their beer to all M60 postcode regions under 3 hours. Now, this is seen as an achievement for them, but they had only intended to do this for lockdown. Now, the lockdown period obviously is now going to be continuing with Tier 3, and so they are going to have to continue doing this despite them wanting to get back to serving the pubs, supplying the beer as normal. Another brewery which has had to do similar is the Seven Brothers. Now, they have had to be selling their alcohol online as a way to combat this. So it seems that many of Manchester's residents will not be doing any group cheerses anytime soon.
Thank you, Jake. A fascinating insight. And it makes you wonder how the authorities of Greater Manchester, specifically in the sector, are reacting to this. Now, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, has said the new Tier 3 will hit the hospitality sector extremely hard. Whilst there are grants for businesses forced to close, there is no extra support for businesses which supply them, like security, catering and cleaning. This will cause real hardship for people whose jobs will be affected and risk the loss of many businesses. Now, Sasha Lord, the nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester, says that we're in Tier 3 and he is not surprised. the R rate is dropping rapidly, so it does feel like if we carry on like this, then we could be in Tier 2 shortly. And that is basically the situation at hand.
Thank you, Ollie. Well, millions of us are experiencing many feelings during this second lockdown.
However, new figures suggest that loneliness is at a record high for young people, and many are finding creative ways to date and meet new people during the lockdown. Libby Lindley tells us more.
Tom is a university student, and because of the pandemic, most of his lectures have been moved online and social activities like nights out have had to be put on hold. He's one of millions of those aged 18 to 24 who have been feeling lonely.
I think it's easier to socialise in person. You get more of a feel for the person in real life.
Young people like Tom are almost 3 times as likely to have experienced loneliness since lockdown, and that's why video dating is becoming the new thing.
Wanted another way of, getting the experience of going out, but without actually going out. Since lockdown came around, people are definitely feeling a lot more lonely. Before then, like being a student would mean going out to pubs, clubs, parties every other night, whenever you want. When I tried it, I found that people were actually kind of enjoying them in a way, because they can't go out anymore. It's not like they can party and still in the way that they used to.
But what do people of Manchester think to loneliness and dating over lockdown?
For sure it's different from when we were used to, and you have less chance to meet people. But I think there is still, the opportunity to meet other people.
Some of my mates will just be sitting at home, and I mean, you do have like Tinder and stuff now that you can go on. But
not being able to see people and have contact with people is really detrimental, because we're still not a species.
But lockdown has managed to bring some people together.
Yeah, it was hard today, you couldn't meet anyone apart from people that I worked with. Then this other girl comes along, works at Millie's Cookies in Furlong, and met her through working at Tesco, and now she lives with me.
Olivia Lindley, Quays News. After a year we'd all rather forget, the famous John Lewis advert has given us all a needed boost of festivity.
Nicole Tompkins spoke to one of the artists who worked on this year's video.
So I already knew from the very beginning which will be my part, and I was happy about my part because it kind of fit my style. When I was reading the script, at first I didn't know it, that I was reading the script and so the storyboard. I was hoping that would be my part, and then it indeed turned out that it is my part, and so I was happy about that. And yeah, I knew what is going to happen there. I knew how long the clip should be, and but how it is going to look like and what's the style, and that is, yeah. And they also, the director Oscar, he encouraged also me to do it exactly like I would like to do, so to express my style and don't feel like, oh no, this is like I should adapt or change. So really wanted that I do it my style. And I almost actually said no because I was a bit too busy at that time. I was also working in a book, illustrating a book, but then I thought, oh well, kind of look, the things they are doing look so cool, so maybe I should say yes. And then of course they send me the what exactly would be the job, and then yes, of course, then I was happy about it, and then that I said yes. I really love that idea that there are like little bits done by different animation filmmakers and artists, and I just enjoyed the whole process. But I think the most exciting point was the end, when I could see how it all merges together, like how it all come together. Like that was like that's when you see like the wow. It was, yeah, like a magical moment to see that.
Yeah.
So I think that was the best.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Oh, I wanted to tell him to take care.
I know.